My question is specific to Mr. Shackle. What strategies do you propose for managing and safely disposing a potentially large quantity of nuclear waste?
Thank you for your question, Noah. What I would say is the first thing as part of your question is the quantity of waste or spent fuel, as it's referred to with nuclear energy, is incredibly small. In fact, all the spent fuel from every single nuclear reactor in operation from the beginning of nuclear energy to now could actually fit easily inside a stadium, like the Sydney Cricket Ground or another stadium like that. And if you look at the high-level waste, the spent fuel, if someone was being powered for their whole lives from nuclear energy, the size of it is about the size of a Coke can or like the glass of water I've got here. So it's an incredibly small volume of waste we're talking about.
But it's radioactive, isn't it?
Yes, but for decades we've been able to safely manage it. And the thing is, what about the waste from other energy sources? You look at fossil fuels, the waste that is emitted into the atmosphere from fossil fuels that we have to breathe in every day. There are consequences to that. Or renewables, and I understand that there are innovations in this space, and I think that's a great thing, but let's be honest, the majority of renewables, solar panels, wind turbines, end up in landfill today. Specifically in regards to strategies about spent fuel management. Basically, they're stored in canisters around the world today. It's incredibly safe. There are videos which you can search up on Google of trains running into them. They've tested it on jet planes to make sure it's secure, and there's never been an incident attributed to high-level waste nuclear management. And the last point I'd make is the government is inevitably going to have to deal with high-level waste or spent fuel as a result of their AUKUS announcement, which they're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on. One point or another, the government's going to have to work out a solution for this. And I think because of that, it makes sense to also open up the opportunity for civil nuclear power reactors.
Will's certainly right that we're going to have to sort out storage of nuclear waste, not just for the low-level stuff that we've been using for a while, but for the AUKUS nuclear submarines, the high-level radioactive waste that'll come down the track too.
I find this interesting, the idea that even if you got rid of the ban, even if you ignored the economics of nuclear, which doesn't stack up, we're having huge arguments already between the states because no one wants the waste from AUKUS. In Australia, we have yet to be able to get a permanent nuclear storage facility, even though we've had Lucas Heights and we do have low-level and some mid-level waste in Australia for, 40 or more years. Australians don't want this. I mean, you say it's simple, but some of the transmission lines have been stuck in planning for decades if a new transmission. Imagine what the planning processes are going to be like when we start talking about nuclear reactors. Whose backyard is that going to be in? The nuclear waste. Where are we going to store that? Because literally it is sitting around on shelves in laboratories at the moment. We don't have a way of doing this. Well, in Australia, this is absolutely true. We even export a lot of our waste over to France for them to process and then bring it back here. We do not have the capacity. This is highly politically contentious. I will actually say I do support nuclear because the sun is all about nuclear power. And that's the only nuclear energy we absolutely need, and it has no waste.
Just very quickly, Will.
I very quickly have a word. I don't think the issue here is the science. The issue here is politics. I think that's really clear. We have the solutions of how to manage spent fuel, high-level waste around the world, and I think it's a shame we're still having these discussions and fear-mongering about high-level waste spent fuel, because I'm sure they wouldn't be having these discussions in France or in all of the other countries around the world which are able to successfully manage nuclear waste, and it's not an issue to them. But for some reason, it is here in Australia, and I think that says a lot about our politics today.